Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. Now, today we have a very special guest, and what she does is absolutely amazing. But I kind of feel like we've got a little bit of a celebrity amongst us because you know who she is. You've seen her. She's on here every week, and we rave about her. We buy her products. I give them to my friends. I give them out as Christmas presents, client gifts. Her product is amazing. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the amazing, wonderful Shawnee from Kendo Spice. Hey, Shawnee, welcome.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for all the the praises and thanks for giving me my flowers. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love what you do. There's so much of our food out there that is meant to cause us harm, literally meant to make us ill. And you're fighting that. And it's such a simple thing to do. You don't have to take a bunch of vitamins. You don't have to just add a little sprinkle to your food. It's incredible.
It is. And let me tell you, like I tell people all the time, like I'm not just salt and pepper. 'Cause some people are like, okay, so you do spices. Like, we're not going to leave it quite at that because it's so much more than that. We have the ability, we have everything we need to heal ourselves from the inside out. And we lose sight of that because of convenience most of the times. Or, people say
Right.
all the time, I personally am vegan, and it's just a personal choice for me. It's not so much because I'm overly in love with animals or it's that, I hate this or that. For me, I just feel better
Hmm.
being vegan, and I'm not, it's not against anyone who decides to eat meat. I cook meat every day because my husband and my daughter are not vegan. They're not really subscribing to it. But for me, it was just like, I feel so good like this, and I had no idea just how bad I felt because it became normal. So it became normal that every now and then you might have a headache, or every now and then you might feel bloated, or you have this brain fog, and you just chalk it up to like, oh, I'm tired or whatever. But for me, it was just so much more than that. It started be really Can Do Spice started because my mother was had dementia, and the only way I could give her anything was through her food. Like, she was like my biggest cheerleader when it came to my food. She was always like, Johnny makes the best this, she makes the best that. To the place to my sister and my dad would be like, oh, because no one else can make good food except for Shawnee. And that was one thing that when she was eating, she would still say, oh, this is so good, even though she didn't really know who I was to her. And I didn't make anything separate for my dad. And, I would say to him, want to try? I just made another batch of sea moss. Would you like that? And he's like, I don't know what that is. So no. And I'm like, well, here's the gag. You've been having it for the last 3 months. You're still alive. So go ahead and Google it and do the research. So that's really the point of it all, is just to really have the conversation and get it started and say, like, listen, there are things like black seed that help with inflammation. There are things like turmeric that if I just add a little pinch of black pepper, I can help with inflammation. Ashwagandha is like nature's Zoloft. It really helps you.
Oh, yeah.
And but it does have a pungent taste. That's why I mixed it with curry and jerk to give it that, totally mask it. You think of like calm when you're in the island, so that's why it's called Island Passion. But that's really kind of how it all started. It was like my way of getting in your kitchen, per se.
And you're right. Most of us, let's face it, daily life, you're eating a lot of processed foods, mostly because that's what's out there. It takes a lot of diligence to not go eat that. Oh, it's 7 o'clock, it's late. You don't want to cook. Okay, so what do? You go to In and Out, or you go to, whatever. Like, you find some fast food or a restaurant, and even restaurants, they feel, they're buying food that is contaminated. And so even if they're trying to do stuff, they're using processed foods. If you look at the chemicals in mayonnaise and ketchup and things that we don't think anything about, just
Mhm.
slathering on our food on a regular basis, and all of that's making us sick. And so when you start getting clean and you're like, oh, wait, my body can feel this amazing.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even want that other stuff, you know?
Because I mean, we've been duped. Like, let's face it, there's a trust, an unwritten or unheard of trust that we've kind of created with food, and we just assume that this is good. Certainly, they wouldn't do things to hurt us.
Yeah.
not the case. When you think about the fact that there's a lawsuit because there's asbestos in baby powder,
Yeah.
like why would something like that ever happen? And the way that
Right.
food is here versus food in, say, the UK, like so many things that are banned there, but we'll just kind of do, okay, well, let's add it, let's throw it in there. And it's really scary when you think about like what isn't everything. And now, honestly, it's so expensive. Even junk food now is like potato chips are like $6 here in Delaware anyway. And it's like, wait a minute. Junk food used to be cheap, so you kind of had that excuse of why you weren't doing better. But
Right.
now it's just as high. So like you go to your local farmers markets, um, international markets, you can get fruits and vegetables. And if you throw some candy spice on there, it can taste good. But people like don't want to eat veggies or because they're like, oh, I don't like the taste of it. Like, really, you're just missing taste and texture. You don't boil a piece of meat and expect it to be delicious. So don't boil your Brussels sprouts and expect it to be delicious. You're gonna need some Mary greens. You want to saute. Like just it up. Act like you care about what you're putting into your body.
Right.
Act like you
Well,
care.
and people think, oh, the FDA is protecting us. No, the FDA's first job is to make money. My
Big time.
my ex he worked with a company, and the long and short of it is there was a drug that was supposed to go on the market, and it something happened with the patents. It didn't go through properly. So it could be used as a generic in Europe. So he could never make the money to pay the FDA here. It costs a lot of money to get something passed through the FDA. And so because of the patents got messed up, this is available in health food stores. And a lot of people go, oh, well, the health food stuff, it's not tested. It's not this. They poo-poo it and go, oh, that's not real. We don't want to put that in our body. It's dangerous because it didn't get passed by the FDA. But the FDA, it's a money-making thing. And look at all the stuff that does pass. Like you said, asbestos and talcum powder, that passed the FDA. How many drugs are being recalled? How many things get recalled on a regular basis that pass the FDA? So they're not really looking out for us the way they're supposed to. They're looking out for how much money can they get,
Correct. I mean, come on. Lunch meat is classified as the same as cigarettes are. So yeah, sure, it's
Wow.
passed by the FDA. It's funny because I actually took my mother-in-law to the doctor's today, and one of the medicines they prescribed her on her last visit, she didn't get filled because the pharmacy said her insurance didn't cover it, and it's supposed to neutralize the acid in her body, right? So the doctor says to her today, so I'm not sure why it wasn't covered, but what you could do is at night take a little pinch of baking soda, mix that with your water and take that, and that will help do it. He said, but not that medicine is only like baking soda, but that will
But it
neutralize
is.
it. You know what I mean? So here we are. Really?
I
Really?
had
Baking
interstitial
soda?
cystitis years ago, and that's what I used to calm down the acid in my belly because it was like canker sores on the inside of my bladder. And so if somebody put a squeeze of lemon on my salad, I was in pain for days. And I'm like, okay, so I literally drink baking soda. And well, there's several things like that. Now, when I had IC, they said, don't eat sourdough bread at all. That's like the worst of all the breads. Well, years later, and I've done a lot of research, actually, sourdough is the one bread that wouldn't have caused me pain. And they're telling me not to eat it. And then there's high blood pressure drugs or blood thinning drugs, but they tell you can't have grapefruit if you're on it. Why? Because the drug does the same thing the grapefruit does. And if you eat the grapefruit, then you're getting double duty, but you could not take the drug and just eat grapefruit.
Right. Right. But there's no money in that, right?
Right.
It's insane. It's the same thing with ashwagandha. Like, you should not be taking Zoloft if you're taking ashwagandha. Like, well, why don't you just tell the people what the truth is? That's what we use as the base of making the Zoloft,
I did Zoloft at one time in my early 30s, and ashwagandha is way easier on the body than Zoloft. Way easier on the body.
Listen, and you can mix it with your food, and that's it. End of that, right?
Right.
Right. But it's a shame because we're so conditioned, and we is not me, and we is not you. But so people are so conditioned to believe that, you know, people say like to me, well, I'll not have to talk to my doctor about that. And I'm like,
Right. Well, what's the doctor going to say? But the doctors aren't taught all
they
this
aren't
stuff. They're taught medicine. I mean, if you think who wrote the medical books, it's big pharma that wrote the medical books.
exactly.
Who's supplying the money to the medical institutions on how to be a doctor? It's a big pharma. So no, they're not going to teach you about vegetables. They're doctors. It's not that they're mean or they're trying to hurt us. They're not taught it. They're not taught what vegetables to eat for this or what all the natural things that you can do to heal your body. Because you're right, the right foods. I mean, modern medicine as we know it is like 100 years old. It's 100 years old. People have been getting sick for thousands of years, and they got better with natural products.
Exactly. In fact, you see people at this point starting medications earlier and earlier and earlier, and then they say, well, okay, well, now we have to check your liver. Now we have to check your kidney function. You know, the first thing you do when you go to a kidney doctor, they're asking you, you know, do you take ibuprofen and Motrin? Yeah, because you know that's going to have an impact. When I have a headache, in the rare times, especially when I'm detoxing, I might get one, then I actually just inhale a little oil of oregano, and it knocks it out just like that. I don't have to even eat it, just inhale it. You know, it's crazy what we have here. We have been on this earth for thousands of years, somehow making it, right? And now all of a sudden we can't, you know. Now I have to check with my doctor. I'm like, do you check with your doctor before you smoke cigarettes? Do you check with your doctor before you drink
Or before you
alcohol?
have a drink?
Right.
Or before you eat those potato chips that have crickets in them?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be fair here. Let's be completely honest. I've even had the craziest things, like people say, well, you know, I don't know, I don't want, you know, to go vegan because I have to have my protein. I'm like, well, if you actually knew, you can actually get much better protein from your plants and vegetables. But okay, you know, whatever you need to say and whatever you do, that's fine. I'm not pushing it on you. It's very much like how I felt about the COVID vaccine. Like, listen, do whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Just don't try to push it on me. Like, I'm
Me
good.
too.
I've
It's
never
like,
had the flu before in my life. I have never had COVID. I have never had most of the things that you say that you struggle with. So do whatever makes you happy. But I'm just here to add some flavor. That's all.
and nobody asked for the ingredients in the shot, did they? Did
No.
anybody ask what the ingredients in that shot were? Nobody did. They just
Yeah.
said, oh, the government said I have to take it. I need to take this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at ingredients in any vaccine, it's scary. I mean, there's
Very.
stuff like there's mercury in there. And I mean, thermometers, now they're all electronic, but you know, before, if you dropped a thermometer on the floor and it broke, oh my God, there's mercury. You don't touch it, don't touch it. But it's okay to put it in our bloodstream where there's no defenses.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. And nobody questioned what was in it. They're just like, oh, well, the FDA approved it. But it,
Like, did
yeah.
they? You know,
Did they?
based on what? Like, they have to do trials, and it hasn't been long enough for
No.
any trials. And like I said, I am totally somebody that's an inside out type, right? I've been having sea moss and elderberry and all those things for years. That's the way I was raised, though. We were definitely a household where it's like, you know, you're going to do some garlic and onions and cinnamon and honey kind of concoction over anything. And I don't know if that was a cost thing or what, but I used to have to drink Father John's, which was like, probably, I'm aging myself here or dating myself, was the worst thing in the world. It was like a cod liver oil, but it was like sweet and it was absolutely horrible. But I had to drink a teaspoon of that every single day. I never missed school for being sick. It's just second nature, really, to me. And you know, going vegan was just something that like I prayed about. I would say, you know, in a perfect world, I actually would be vegan, but I love chicken wings. That was my favorite thing to say. And they just got to the place where I'm like, this is, if you want to do it, just do it. Just do it. And I'm like, I can't. The flesh is weak. I can't do it. So like, I really prayed about it. I went on a fast, and I'm like, you know what, God, I don't have to just save the super miracles for you. Can you help me with this? I really want to release this because this. Let me just. I feel good when I'm doing it, and I regularly do. Sometimes water fast. Sometimes I do just veggie fast. And when I do those, I feel great. But then I go right back to the wings. Right. So this time I'm like, I need your help with this. I need you to help me out.
Well,
And I haven't looked back. I'm not even
and
tempted.
that's the thing too, is most people don't know how to listen to their body. You
Yeah.
know, a few years ago, my body said, I don't want chicken anymore. I don't know why I don't want chicken anymore. I don't really care why. And it's interesting because about 3 months after they did that, that's when it came out that the chickens were being sent to China to be processed and then coming back.
No.
And like, I don't know, but the fact that they're in a boat going there and coming back, that time alone is enough to kind of make you go, this doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I now if I'm someplace and, oh, this is my special chicken dinner, and it's a family favorite, or, oh, 3 generations back, whatever, if this is their pride and joy that they make the special chicken dinner, I'll eat it. I won't say nothing, but I have no desire for it. I won't buy it. I won't, I'm not spending any money on it,
Yeah.
and I don't even know why, except my body doesn't want it anymore.
Well, amen for
And
that.
huh?
That makes it easier. I say amen for that. It
Right.
makes it
And
easier.
I've learned, like, when I had the IC, it was really funny because when I was a kid, I hated tomatoes. I didn't want tomatoes. And I didn't like lemons. But when I got the IC and I went through the list of all the stuff I wasn't supposed to eat, funny, it was all those things I didn't like as a kid, but I grew up and, developed, like, okay, I'm a grown up now. I can eat these things. But no, my stomach, even as a kid, knew this was there
Mhm.
and said, no, don't eat these things. And so I've just kind of kept them out of my diet. I don't eat them. I'm like, I'm fine now. Through natural healing stuff, I have fixed it and I don't have a problem anymore. But at the same time, I'm not going to go eat a bunch of tomatoes. Like, why invite trouble when this is clearly something that my body doesn't like? So,
Yeah.
parents, if you've got kids that are saying, that's one thing, I don't want to eat it. But if they really don't want to eat it, don't force them,
Yeah, because maybe they're not at
and,
that place where they can communicate why they don't want to eat it. They just know that
right.
this isn't for me. Right.
Yeah. Now, they can't be that with everything, but if there's something, hey, I don't like this, mom. Okay, that's fine. They don't have to eat it because they're more in touch than we are because we've been taught to think and not to listen to our bodies. But they're more in touch with their bodies than we are, unless I was very fortunate. My mother taught me to listen to my body. So I was very fortunate in that department. But, we don't need to force feed them food that their body
Right.
doesn't want.
I mean, look what we do. Some of us as adults say, well, tomatoes, coffee, it gives me heartburn. So instead of just not eating it, they say, oh, I'm going to get some Tums. I have to make sure I have Tums.
Right?
Or I have a slight shellfish allergy when I eat shrimp. So I always make sure I have a Benadryl. Like, you
So don't eat it.
don't eat that.
It's like the old joke, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that.
Right. No, I'm not gonna eat something that I need to take a medication for. Just don't do it. There's too many alternatives. There's too many
Right?
alternatives. And like for me, I love chickpeas. I always have, right? And I'm like, this is like everything to me. So chickpeas with curry, chickpeas as a dessert hummus, like I love those little things. Okay. And I legit probably eat falafel like twice a week, legit, and or chickpea with curry or whatever. But I just absolutely love it. And really, it's just taste and texture. When I feel like I want something like crispy, like chicken, I usually have oyster mushrooms or maitake mushrooms if I wanted to be like a sandwich. If I really, really feel like, I kind of feel like a calamari kind of mode, then I use king oyster mushrooms, or sometimes I use lion's mane mushrooms. Like there's just so much. We say like if you can get bored with it, but you really can't because you're probably eating chicken, fish, beef, maybe a few of those other things, right? But it's the same for meats, right? There's thousands of fruits and vegetables out there. You can't say that you're really bored. You don't just eat chicken. You eat it with something. So,
Right.
when people's like, "Oh, there's definitely gonna be vegan options. There's gonna be vegetarian options. There's a salad," and I'm like, not that I don't like salad, but I'm looking for food, hot food. It's December. I want something warm, but thanks. We just had a holiday party Wednesday, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm just gonna go out and get something to eat because that was the vegan option for me, was salad, a fruit salad. And she said, the HR director said, and there's homemade chips. I was like, what? Potato chips, salad, and fruit salad. Like, I don't know where you come from, but that's really not a meal. So I'm good, but don't worry about it. It's there's too much available for us. It's 2023, guys. Stop it. Stop it with the salad as my option. Okay.
Yeah, no, salad's not an option.
Yeah, I mean, I can do a stir fry. Let's zhuzh it up a bit. Let's get into this. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be very, very exciting and flavorful at the same time. Just saying.
100%. And that's one of the things. Your spices is really I put on everything. I throw a little bit on my eggs. I mean, anytime I've got something, I throw it on. I'm making some broccoli or I'm sautéing anything. I throw a little bit on, and it's so good. I always spend a few minutes talking about, like, you've got 6 flavors, or is it 7? I forget. Is the holiday mix the 6th one, or?
The holiday mix is the 6th.
So let's go through each one, kind of like, what is it really geared for? Because you've got so many amazing ingredients in there. And this is also great if you do have kids, or, there's somebody in your family that, like, oh no, I don't want to eat anything healthy, because adults can be just as bad as kids, sometimes worse, because they're adults and they're right. The kids, you can kind of, hey, just have a couple bites at least, but the adults, like, and like you said with your dad, it's like, so it's a great way to kind of sneak in all those wonderful things, and they don't even know about it. So let's kind of go through. I think the Island Passion is my favorite. So that's
Island Passion is definitely one of my favorites. So Island Passion is the one that has ashwagandha, and then there's jerk, curry, and turmeric flavors. But it is what I use for chickpeas, like legit some coconut milk and Island Passion, and I'm like in my very happy place. So I will say at the beginning is that Kendu is my dad's nickname. His name is Kenny, and they call him that because he can do a little bit of everything. So that is why, and I started cooking with him. So that's why where the name comes from, because people would always say, like, some people say kendo, and I'm like, no, it's not like a martial arts at all. It's Ken Do. It's just named after him. And each blend was something that it was like based off of some of my favorite dishes. And then I had to figure out, how do I put this together? People say, like, what did you put in it? And like, ooh, I don't know. I had the whole cupboard open. I don't know. So I really had to take my time and put it together. So Island Passion, that's one of your favorites. That's like definitely my number 2. And that is, like I said, curry, jerk, turmeric flavors. The other one, my next favorite, is Mary Green's. Now, Mary Green is my mother's maiden name. So when people say I love Mary Green's, that's I say me too, So she always loved cabbage. I mean, love. She grew up down south where they would always put like a smoked meat in every vegetable. That is something I've always hated. I'm just going to say, like, because I could never taste the vegetable anymore. Like, what stood out for me was the meat. And then it was just kind of like, yeah, what is it? Is it a green bean? Is it a collard green? I don't even know what this is anymore, because it just tastes like smoked meat to me. But cabbage was her favorite thing. So it was really designed around the cabbage and like Brussels sprouts. But then I found that I love it on everything. So Mary Green's is a little mix of, like, it has onion, it has garlic, there's some paprika, there's lemon, there's a little sugar for sweetness, and then there's like coarse black pepper. So it has a little heat, and I'd say like maybe super mild, like 1 or 2. But there's sea moss in Mary Green's. So sea moss is something that has 92 of the 102 minerals our bodies are made of. So it really helps with inflammation. It is like something that you can put on not Mary Green's, but you can put sea moss on your skin for areas of like rough patches. It helps with your monthly cycle. It's a superfood, Then I have Barbecue Bomb, which is salt-free. It's spicy and sweet. And there's lion's mane mushroom powder in that, which is great for your brain health. You'll taste like hints of tomato, paprika, a little mustard. There's cayenne. There's crushed red pepper, brown sugar, white sugar. So it is, and not it is a organic sugar. So I don't want to just put that out there. So, then we have Farm to Soul. Farm to Soul is like, oh, I love that on grilled peaches.
Oh,
I love that on pasta too. I like Mary greens on pasta as well. But Farm to Soul is going to be your rosemary, your smoked paprika, garlic, onion, but it has black seed in it. And most people take black seed as an oil if they know, how great it is with lowering your blood sugar and helping with your blood pressure. But it does have a very distinct flavor. It tastes a lot like black pepper without the spice. So when I would take black seed oil, I would use it as a salad dressing because I don't like it to take it. It just gives me like flashbacks from as a child, taking like cod liver oil and stuff and castor oil. So I don't like it like that. So I used to always make it as a salad dressing. But I found it as an organic, dry blend. So I put that in there. So you have that phenomenal flavor. Holiday Joy is a lot like Farm to Soul. Oh, Farm to Soul actually is salt-free too. But Holiday Joy is also salt-free, and it doesn't have it has a little bit more of the flavor, the savory flavors that you would use for like your chickens. So it has more rosemary, more marjoram, more sage, and more thyme. So that's what I would put on things like different types of mushrooms. I also put it on like hearts of palm, anything that I'm trying to like mimic more of a poultry flavor. So it's more of like a rub, but you could put it on anything. Ocean's Essence, definitely number one seller. Because I appeal to vegans, it's like hotcakes because I've taken all of the guesswork out of trying to make like a mock seafood dish. Normally you would have to put, you'd put probably Old Bay, you'd probably add nori sheets, you'd probably try to figure out and put this thing together, but I did it for you. I took the guesswork out for you. So you have your familiar flavor that you're looking for with seafood, but I added nori, dulse, kelp, sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock.
That's so good for you.
Yes. So you get all that stuff and then it gives you that like fishy flavor with that seafood flavor. Perfect ratio. So you don't actually have to add anything else. If you do, you do, but you don't have to. I've added it like I've roasted like the Chinese eggplant, the thinner one, roasted that for about 15 minutes and then cut it open, add the Ocean's Essence and fry that baby just like it was a fish fillet. Like,
hey, Shawnee, Jeanette, I just popped in for a second. I had a couple of things that was crossing my mind. One, Shawnee, as you know, I love the Mary's Greens. Got to get some more because I've already run out of what you have provided. It was definitely seasoning a lot of food and was great and all in that space. So I am a fan as well. I got to go order some more for the holidays. And we've also got a bookstore now, and they're trying to create a bookstore. And I realized Shawnee Smith actually has a book. So I added the book to the book list. I don't know if Jeanette's got a book, and the book list isn't up and running yet, but hopefully before we actually get to Christmas, it'll be up and running and everything. But I was looking up.
Is it a recipe book?
It is. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you a copy.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you if you give out recipes because like you're so amazing and all the stuff you're talking about. And that's where I am creative in the house. Oh my gosh, like you wouldn't believe. But when I walk in the kitchen, it's like, I don't know what to do.
You do a great job and everything. But I was here at the center. We were actually having a conversation around Pauli Murray, who was a historical figure, and they were actually doing a centering exercise and taping about her historical life. She was actually one of the originators of Brown versus Board of Education and worked with Thurgood Marshall when she was living and all in that space. But that is a Durham native. But I was talking to them and also talking to some other people that were visiting our Cultural Arts Center. And we were talking about the movement that is a very popular movement. And I was just wondering your thoughts around this, Shawnee, because apparently there's a lot of people that are talking about the farm to table movement and all along those lines. And I would think that you would be a big part of that, even with your season. And so I just wanted your thoughts around that, because I know a lot of independent farmers, some that are African American, some that are other cultures, are getting very big about growing product and then bringing it to the table versus doing the whole grocery store thing and everything. But I just wanted your thoughts around the farm to table movement.
I love it. I love that we're finally taking control over what we're putting in our mouths. We're thinking that we have to, this is what they have, this is what's convenient. But I love that there's a lot of farmers who are now doing a lot of CSAs where they are, creating collectives where maybe you're not the person that's going to plant it, but you're the person that's going to can it. Everybody has something to do, and we can create this community and take food back to really what it was. Like, food is the center of most of our gatherings, whether it's a birthday party or whether it's a funeral. There's always going to be food. That's like what links us together. And when we can do it in a way that's healing, as opposed to one that's killing, why are we at funerals eating the food, the very foods
Right.
that may have killed the person that we're there for? It's an opportunity to really say, what, the best way, what real self-care is, making sure we put what's in our bodies is something quality.
I love that. And self-care, I think, is such a used word right now. And it's, oh, go take a walk, or go take a bath. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. But really, what we put, it goes so much deeper, because I mean, that's nice and all, but it's like, it's not self-care for a lifetime. What we put in our bodies, and going back to, there was a lot of people that were very afraid during COVID. And many of them were, they fit all the boxes. They were 100 pounds overweight. They smoked, they drank. And then they're like, oh, you have to take the shot so I can stay healthy. And I'm like, you haven't cared about your health in like 50 years. Like, what? Right. Why is this suddenly my problem?
Right. Don't put that responsibility on me. You don't.
Right. And it is one of the things too is being overweight. They say it's a hereditary gene. And I'm like, no, it's hereditary, because who do you learn to eat from?
Exactly.
You learn to eat from your parents. If your parents don't know how to eat, and if your parents are eating, and there's, it's down south. I mean, you guys got so much amazing food. It's all bad for you. I mean, there's like, there's so much bad. It tastes so good, right, but there's a lot of stuff in it that you shouldn't be eating. And there's regions. Oh, I mean, it's this. I mean, I love Southern food, so I'm not picking on it, but there's. We got a lot of Mexican food here. I had some tacos the other day. Oh my God, they were so good. They were birria tacos. I love birria. And the tacos were fried. And I'm sitting there going, this is so bad for me. And they were so good. I didn't care. I don't do that every day. Right. This was like, once, I was out of town and it was like, oh my God, I got to try these. If I lived in that town, I would eat them regularly.
It's okay to indulge yourself every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Right,
right. Okay to indulge
every day.
Yeah.
But you can't do it every day. Because your body clogs up. Your liver clogs up. And your liver is the thing that detoxes your body the most. And if that gets clogged up, it's not able to do its job. Then it forces the job on other organs. And that's when you start getting sick.
No, but speaking of which, this is a question for both of you that really crossed my mind. But y'all mentioned earlier canning. I think it was you that mentioned it. I do have some friends that are very big into canning, but there are certain items that are canned that not everybody loves and everything. And I personally do not mind. And I think that it can have a great flavor, but not everybody loves beets. And I know that beets can be canned and all along those lines. But I was just wondering your thoughts around those folks that have an aversion to certain things, even if they are canned. Because I've had some friends that are like, I'm not, you can't put no beets on my food. I don't like beets. I'm going to be allergic to beets and all along those lines. So I just wanted your thoughts, one about canning, but also those people that have aversions to certain foods.
It's how it's canned, though. Am I right, Shawnee? Because a lot of the stuff we're buying in the store, they put a bunch of crap in it that we don't need. But like true canning where it's natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you actually don't even know what stuff tastes like. Like, you don't even really, at this point, most people can say, like, they really don't even know what a green bean tastes like. So because they're so used to just all the salt that it's like, oh, this is horrible. Like, actually not. You really, takes a minute, takes a week or so, but you really can reprogram your palate And then when you do have something that's overly salty or overly sweet, you will feel it then, like, oh, this is horrible. How can anybody eat this? Something as simple as like potato chips. I can't think of what Ruffles. Ruffles to me are like super salty, but there was a time that I would tear those things up, but we would not do what we do to our bodies, to our car. You would
No.
never say, you know what, some days, I know it takes gasoline. Some days I'm going to put kerosene in it and for a week or so, and we're just going to hopefully it works. We would not do that. If the check engine light comes on in your car, you want to go see about it. So when you have things like a headache, a prolonged headache, something, it's not obvious. A prolonged headache, that's your check engine light. That's your cue to say, wait a minute, there's something out of whack here. Let me see what I can do. Not what I can take, but how I can fix the problem. Just like you would do that for your car.
Pain is how your body talks to you and says, hey, you need to check something out. And it's not go take ibuprofen. It's like, wait a second, there's something else going on. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a small faction of us out there that are doing, but we're getting bigger and people are learning more. And once you do start eating clean, it's like the other stuff doesn't taste good. Mm-mm. Like it just doesn't taste good. You don't even want it. And then you realize like, oh wow, I didn't realize that all these these vegetables could taste so good.
Oh my God. Yes.
Because they do. When you're eating the real vegetable, when I got my CSA first, the first box I got, I was like, wow, this food is amazing. And it's not what I can buy in the grocery store. No. It's just not.
It can't be because it needs to have a shelf life. So they got to get it before it's ripe. So they can sit here in the supermarket for, 2 weeks until they just absolutely have to, discount it or throw it away. But like to have the rainbow of colors, it is pleasing to me spiritually before I even put it to my mouth. I'm already so happy about the way a big plate of colorful food makes me feel. Like, look at this is just beautiful, and then I'm pleased with my eyes and I eat it and I'm pleased with my body loves it and we're good to go. It's not normal to not go to the bathroom every day. It's not normal to, I guess it's TMI, but it's not normal to be straining. It's not normal to have all these like things that we have going on that we just chalk it up like, wow, yeah, I went too far on that. So I'm not, no, it's not.
And you don't need to take more drugs to help you go better. You just need to eat the right things. Mm-hmm. It's not hard.
Yeah. And it's not hard to make them taste good. Because I take care of that for you.
No.
So.
Talk a little bit about turmeric, because that's like a wonder drug in and of itself. It's as powerful as ashwagandha, really. For and all the different things that it does.
For thousands of years. Thousands. So when people say they don't like it, I'm like, why not? Like, what about it is so horrible? Because actually it doesn't have that much of a flavor. If anything, it gives a nice bright color, and then what we need is a little bit of black pepper to help our bodies absorb it more. But as far as like anti-inflammatory, it's like bar none. It makes a lovely little drink for like late at night when you just want to relax and go to sleep. Just add a little. I like it with almond milk more than oat milk, but like just a little almond milk, a little pinch of black pepper, some honey, and I'm like, oh, this is delicious. I love it. And just to talk about milks really quick, the almond milk and the oat milk and those kind of milks that you buy, if we can get away from that, that would be awesome. Actually, you can make oat milk so quickly, so cheaply, it's not even funny. Just a cup of oats to like about 4 cups of water. Get yourself a good blender, and then you can add some vanilla if you want. You can add some agave to sweeten it up if you like your sweet, but blend it and strain it. If you don't have cheesecloth, use a coffee filter. Bam, you have some milk. So
wow,
because there's tons of things because they're watching the trends, of course. When people want to go
and they're putting crap in it. Yes,
exactly. And this makes it cheaper and this makes it quicker.
So you have people trying to make healthier decisions, and then they go ahead and put crap in it.
Yeah, they're at every step of the way they are abusing the process. So I love the idea of getting local vegetables from your local farmers, from participating in CSAs, from just taking some control. It feels good. It's very empowering to say, you
It
know what?
is.
I'm not eating that. No, not going to do that. I'm going to make the decision that's best for my body for the long haul. Because it sounds good to say, well, you only live once. I'm going to enjoy it. You only live once, until you're that person who's pushing oxygen, or who's on their way to dialysis, who's taking, you know, a bag full of prescription drugs. Then it's not.
Then it's not you only live once. Then it's, I wish I could have my health back.
No.
And I want to go, you said something really wonderful. I want to go back and touch on about having a plate full of different colors. And, you know, as a color whisperer, this is something I'm very passionate about, because we do this in so many aspects of our life. You know, you eat, there used to be a show I would watch on HGTV, and it was like this lady would come in and she'd have them put all their food on the table that they ate for a week. And it was amazing how much of it was white. Sugar, it was bread, it was chips, it was French fries, it was, you know, it was just all these things that were no color. And then afterwards she would say, this is what you're going to eat. And there's so many colors, and it was so beautiful. And all those colors have a vibration that our body needs as well. And it's interesting when you look at the different colors and what they mean, it also goes to do, and you start comparing them to the different vegetables, there's a correlation as well. So it is really important to have a lot of colors in your food, because that's really our body. We don't exist on one color. I don't care what it is. I mean, you look, if your house is, you know, all bland in one color, like our bodies need multiple colors.
Mm-hmm. Give me an
in
example.
all of our senses.
Give me an example. My favorite color is red. Talk to me about red.
Okay, red. So first of all, you're spring. So springs are very, actually, you got some autumn in you too. I'm on my phone, so it's hard to see all of your face, but you've got this very vibrant personality.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're spring. You're spring. So
don't look at the grays.
No. That has nothing to do with it. So you're spring. So springs are the cheerleaders of the planet.
Ooh.
And it's your job to go out there and spread joy. Literally, that's your job. That's your job. And so you walk into a room and look at the smile. You just like, you light up like a Christmas tree. And when you come into a room, this is your job. You are bringing joy wherever you go. So red is a like pure red. It, kind of like the red that we have on that's got a little bit of orange in it, but like more like the red that we have that's reflected in the lake there. That's more your color. You can do the brighter reds. This yellow is great for you. And yellow is a very friendly, engaging color. It's so that's a great color for you. So you don't want to do the pastel. Like this is yellow, which is a pastel, but it's a very bold yellow.
Yes, it's very bright.
And not gold. You need the yellow. You do have a lot of yellow in your skin, so you can get away with some of the more, you can get away, actually, I can't see you in orange, but you can get away with some of the deeper colors because you have a little bit of yellow in your skin. But overall, you want colors that bring happiness. So you can do like a real pink, you know, you can do like a bright green, but that red is, it's energy. It's red in general is fight or flight, and it's love. And so, I mean, look at, you're saving people from death. Hello. I mean, it's you are. If people listen to you and do the stuff that you say, you're literally saving their lives. Aww. Because they're going to learn how to eat better, and they're going to live longer because, you know, they put a little sprinkle on their food. I mean, it really is that big. And
it makes you happy. At least it does me. It makes me want.
Yeah, it makes you happy. It's and it's full of love. And as a joy spreader, even the Bible says it. The greatest of these is love, and that's what you do. You spread love everywhere you go. So that's that joy bubbling out of you. So it's that happy red that, yes, it fits that's your favorite color.
Oh, I am so excited to hear that. So excited. because it really truly is. I tell everyone before this, in my old life, I used to have a cupcake food truck and a cafe, right? But it just did not align with where I am today. As much as I
Yeah.
love watching people eat the cake, and obviously I could do a healthy spin on it if I wanted to, but it also was a lot of work. But it just wasn't really who I was anymore. So, for me, the pandemic was like the slowdown that I needed, to really kind of reflect and say, like, who are you? What do you want to do? And what do you want to be known for? Like, what's in your dash? And
Yeah.
for me, it was the obvious. I knew it had to be around food, but I'm like, this is it. I'd cook for everyone if I could. That's obviously not possible. But this is my way of like getting in your kitchen and like, spreading my version of love.
Absolutely.
People will, like, I've had people approach me and want to be an affiliate, and I'm like, we definitely have to talk first, because this is my baby. This is not salt and pepper to me. I'm very passionate about this, so passionate that I named it after my father and one of the blends after my mother. This is very serious to me. This was, I'm forever connected in this way, and
you want
always
to make sure the quality of the food, and if you're going to partner with somebody like, oh, let's take this national, you need to keep track that the quality of what goes in there is up to your standards as well.
Yeah, and I want to know that you care. You have to care. I know you're not going to care as much as me, but darn it, you really got to come close because it's that special to me. It's that serious to know that we cannot just be here longer, but we can have a much more enjoyable quality of life. It's all, health is truly wealth. There's no good to store up everything and have all this money and whatever, and you can't spend it. I mean, look, like Steve Jobs, look at how Steve Jobs talked about it in the end. It's so important, and it's something that we should be passing on now. We can stop the cycles of diabetes and especially type 2, that's completely your diet. You can stop that anytime you're good and ready, but you want to do different things. You can stop that anytime you're ready. High blood pressure. Well, people add salt to everything, the whole process. You don't need to add salt while you're cooking. That whole like put the salt in the water for your pasta and all that. Yeah. For what? When it gets done.
But here's the thing too, is the salt that we typically use is crap. It's all the right nutrients. Like, we need iodine. We do need iodine, but the stuff that's salt, like, they've taken all the good nutrients out. So what you're doing is you're putting in just chemicals. But if you can, because our bodies do physically need the iodine, but it's got to be real iodine and not just
lab created
salt.
Yeah. I love the Celtic salt. Actually, it's one of my favorites to use.
Yeah, that's a great way to get real iodine. Absolutely.
Right. People I know they're kind of like privy to or partial to the pink Himalayan, but again, they've taken advantage of the fact that we're trying to do some research, and it's just not what it was intended to be. In fact, there's a salt that I could only find it at Indian supermarkets, but it's called black salt, and it is like a salt, is mined in a sulfur mine, right? So it literally smells just like boiled eggs. I use that when I'm making like scrambled eggs, because I'll use mung beans, just blend it with water basically, and then with a little bit of turmeric for the color, and add that black salt. You can't tell me you don't have scrambled eggs. You can't tell me. And it's dirt cheap. Like, come on, guys. Remember when eggs was like $6 a dozen? Like, oh, you can keep that. I can get a bag of beans for like $2. That would give me enough eggs for 3 months, So it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be bland. And you really will be so surprised how empowered you will feel to have a beautiful, colorful plate that your body loves. And that's a real way to give yourself a hug. You know what I mean? That's the real self-care, to say, you know what? I love myself so much that I'm going to treat it right.
Yeah, it's truly amazing. And you feel so much better. And that's the thing too, is that a lot of this crap, I know, sometimes I'm doing a lot of networking events or whatever, and I'm eating out, and then like 2 or 3 days later, I'm like, I feel like crap. I hate the world. The world hates me.
It's
Like
irritable.
I'm really depressed.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, okay, well, what have you been eating? Okay, duh. Go back to the kitchen,
Right.
get the right things. Now, I also do a lot of energy healing. Do you get into that, or are you strictly food?
I'm open to it. Sometimes I, will do like some tapping, some like O breaths, things like that. So I'm open to it. I'm not always conscious of making sure that I do it, but I'm open to it. I feel like I don't need it as much because I am eating a lot more live food, and instead of eating carcasses,
Yeah.
And not
No,
so many ways, but yeah.
like that taco that I had. I loved it. It tasted really good. And the next day, I'm like, I crashed hard. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well, what did you eat?
Yeah. Now, as
Duh.
adults, we still know that we had to go out in the world and be somewhat functional, but kids don't have that. So
Right.
when you're getting all these calls from school, well, think about it. What did you send them to school with? You gave them a Pop-Tart, so probably some sort of red dye,
Lunchables.
Lunchable, some secured meat, also same level as a cigarette as far as
Or what are they feeding the kids when they buy school lunch? Oh my God. I mean, what we had was horrible, and that was a long time ago.
I know, but the food that they have now is so much worse. It's not even funny. Like nothing is real. Now you can have peanut butter cups, like and little squeeze things. And what is this? Like now you can't even put it in a jar. I need it to be like single serving. It's just it's sad. It really is.
It's very sad.
People
But
come here from other countries and they look at our diet and there's like, you guys, what is this? So you don't have any real food, and we really do. But we've kind of pushed it to the side.
yeah,
It's
it's very sad how difficult it is to, but like you said, you use the CSAs, you got to do some research. And that's the hard thing too, is that, okay, you do your research and you find, here's a brand like Bragg's apple cider vinegar. That was a go-to as a big health
with the
thing
mother, right?
with the mother. And then
Right.
it just got bought out and you're like, okay, did they sell out? What do you, and I've heard mixed things on both sides. You probably know better than I do, but it's like, okay, so now here's something you were used to, and they do this a lot with health foods. It's like, okay, this brand, they get out there trying to be healthy and offering a healthier option, and then once it gets popular, it gets bought out, then they fill it with all the crap again. So you got to really be careful. Just because it says it's healthy on the box doesn't mean it's healthy.
Oh my goodness, right? Or organic, and it's so hard. It's a hard place because you think you're in business to make money, right? And you want to scale and you want to be able to do that. You want to be able to compete. You want to be able to be available to most people, but you also kind of force your hand. So it's a hard situation, like, okay, will you promise that I get to stay involved? Like, oh yeah, sure. Just sign right here. And then it's like, oh, well, no. If you look at your contract, we're not doing it like that anymore. So it's a hard situation to be. My prayer is that that's not a decision that I'll have to make. And
have you been approached?
I have not yet, but I kind of really shifted in the last couple months, or there was a time where I'm like, oh, I want to be in Whole Foods and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, actually, I don't. Actually, I like it just like it is. I like to find out what my capacity is. And this is how I want to grow. So organically and just, I found my tribe, I believe, and, think it'll just take off from there. But it's very important to me to keep the integrity and just really, really find a way to make people very happy about their decisions that they're making.
Yeah. And I just love that you make it so easy. I don't have to have 10 different jars of whatever. And I do this. It's like, no, I just take a few pinches and put it on. And I got a delicious meal. I don't have to think about it. So that's where the Jeanette's not very creative in the kitchen comes in mind. I don't have to be creative. It's like, okay, whatever I'm cooking, I just throw a few pinches of your stuff on it and voila, I've got a delicious meal that's got a lot of added nutrients. I can feel good about eating it. And I feel better afterwards. And it's easy.
I
Because that's what
appreciate
I'm like a 5-ingredient cook. Like I look at a recipe and if it's got more than 5 ingredients, I'm like, yeah, I lost interest. So with you, I can one of those ingredients is yours, and it's like, okay, I can do.
Right. You're like, bam, I have flavor. That's what I designed it for. So that cooks at any level. If you can cook and you want to, zhuzh it up a little bit more, great. But if you can't, it's very much like the Tastefully Simple kind of model. I've taken it all the guesswork. Just add this. I got you. And if you must finish it with salt afterward, then go ahead, but don't cook with it. Don't cook with the salt, put it on afterward. You might not even need half as what you think, So I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be on here with you. And I love that you are spreading the word and spreading the love that I'm sending out and you're receiving it. So I love that. Thank you so much.
It has been a true pleasure having you on, and it's always a pleasure to, we get in the show. I'm like, oh, now we get to go to Can Do Spice, and that's how we go out of the show. So, hey, Mark, it looks like
Hey, I
it's
was
that
just
time
enjoying
again.
y'all's conversation. So it seems like y'all are ready to end the show with that wonderful commercial. I'm ready to get some more of your spices that are homegrown and got that lovely taste and everything. So we're gonna have to get some more, like I said, Mary's Green, and definitely have to get some of the other ones as well because it's about time for an order. It's almost Christmas time, and all along those
And
lines,
there is
might have
time
to
to
even
do it
get some
before
for
Christmas.
mom and others that I know are master
Yes.
cooks and all along those lines. So it's time for placing that order, but we're going to let folks learn a little bit. I know they've been learning about it during the show, the backstory that you have in this wonderful commercial. And by the way, we're about due for another commercial as well. So I'm looking forward to
Thank you so much, Shawnee. This was truly a joy to have you on, and I'm so grateful. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and what you're doing is so impactful, and it needs to just be spread as far and wide as it can be because this is life changing, and I so appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Mark, for always being the big producer in the background, taking care of everything. But you are right. There is time to get Can Do Spice to your house before Christmas. Just saying.
Yay. I'd sent my Christmas ones out already. You already shipped them, I think.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a great Christmas present. The people I've given this as presents to, they love them. They come back and go, oh my God, where did you find that? I'm like, just order more.
Right. People, I don't need a gift card. I need flavor. Send the people flavor. Give the people flavor. CanDoSpice.shop. Just saying. So. Thank you
and
so
on
much.
that note, we're going to let folks check out this lovely commercial. It's been fun hearing y'all two going at it and everything, and I'm sure folks will be hearing the replays as well. So let's go on out with that Can Do Spice promo and all along those lines.
Thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements, but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. is an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.